14. Effective responses to specific food security concerns, the role of the food production sector and how it can contribute to improvement to nutrition security, food safety as a vital facet of food security, and the impact of food security research, policy, and programs on nutritional security with Thailand as a case study example. We had four very well-articulated presentations by four experts in the field, and it's a very broad and complex area because it connects agriculture to nutrition to health. And so the four speakers very eminently tackled the issue, starting from the presentation on identifying food insecure population and response action to ensure food security by Michael from World Food Program, where he addressed the different programs to address the food security issues of the most vulnerable population. Because we also learned that people are not defined as food secure and insecure, and it's not a stagnant thing. There is a lot of shift going on between food security and insecurity, and how people are there in transient poverty and chronic poverty situations. So identifying the food insecure populations and making sure that programs are in place to make sure the vulnerable populations do not go much deeper into the food insecure situations is an important point that countries should keep in mind, so that the shocks that eventually come one time or the other would be addressed in an efficient way. And various WFP programs that are in place have been explained very well. And also lessons countries can learn how they could be prepared so that food security situation as well as the nutrition security situation of the most vulnerable populations, women and children, are taken into account right from time when the situation is better, so that the shocks can be addressed in an efficient way. The next presentation on biofortification and emerging creative approaches of the food production sector to improve nutrition. Gerard Barry from Harvard group has explained very well about how the agriculture sector can incorporate the nutritional angle to the crop development, improvement of the varieties of nutrition could be added on in a way that the global micronutrient malnutrition could be addressed without having to change too many consumer preferences or the way food is consumed or produced is taken care of through the standard breeding approach. But still there is a long way to go for everyone to have access and availability for all the food varieties of crops which have nutrients. But still a lot of research is going on into that. It is important to keep track of and identify ways in which it could be done, and then also bridging the agriculture sector with the nutrition and health sector came out during the presentation. Next, ensuring food safety for food security. It's covered by Sashmi from the FAO, and food safety actually is one of the issues, topics which was not covered very well in other sessions. So Sashmi has explained very well how food safety aspects is an important component of food security, because it contributes to food security through a number of ways, such as contribution to improve nutrition and health status of populations, thereby increasing productivity and livelihood, reducing monetary costs through a decrease in foodborne illnesses among vulnerable populations and related social and economic implications, reducing food losses both pre and post-harvest, thereby resulting in increased food availability, stability, and utilization. The presentation also highlighted the capacity development activities being undertaken by WFO, FAO with regard to food safety. Then the last presentation on effects of food security research policy and programs on nutrition security. This was covered very well by Asri Prof. Vijayana and in taking the case study of Thailand, it was explained very well how the government has undertaken important research in terms of nutrition so that it could be linked into policy and integrating policy decisions based on strong research conducted, and how the evaluation of different programmatic components to the changing situation have been adopted based on strong research connected to policies and programs on nutrition security. It's also, the presentation also highlighted how the changing situations, for example, in some countries now, they're moving from undernutrition to other situations on obesity. So it's also important to keep track of what's happening in the country and make sure that there is a strong research component which is built into and connected to policy and programming. In terms of policies and the question, what immediate policy, technical, or other interventions are needed to improve food security in Asia? Some of the things that came out are important to have field assessment, mapping, and monitoring because the use of relevant indicators such as development level, undernourishment, underweight occurrence in children, access to clean water, percentage of population below poverty line, crop yield, food price hikes, and other related impacts, keeping track of these help to better gauge sensitivity of food security situation and to provide useful insights into the most appropriate interventions needed. It's also recommended that it's important to create and foster social safety net, short-term or emergency food distribution programs, and also other programs that take care of vulnerable groups. In terms of the crop biodiversification, selecting micronutrient-rich crops that can thrive under specific climatic conditions while ensuring minimal cost, maximum output, diverse food products, and good retention of nutrients, high bioavailability is an important factor. Then it's also important to take pragmatic and concrete efforts towards linking the food sector, nutrition sector, and health sector. It's important that all these sectors are interconnected in a way that they work together not only in research but also bringing into policy and programming. Because at the end of everything, it's important to have the health and well-being of the population. That's the main goal of all the programs. For food safety aspects, the recommendation is take a food chain approach to food safety, building quality and safety along all phases of the food chain instead of just end product inspection. So preventative measures instead of reactive approach to this, and strong national food control and regulatory system, and reinforced by international guidelines is recommended to be essential. Practices can include those relating to codex alimentarius, import, export certification, and inspection, overarching capacity building efforts along the entire chain of from food production to the consumption, and focusing on voluntary food safety standards, effective food safety management, and emergency response plan in events of food safety crisis, shared and collaborative use of regional expertise and knowledge to solve the thematic conditions. And also make specific policy and the technical interventions in food safety. The other points are that learning from some of the examples like Thailand could be a way to share experiences across the regions between countries, so that experiences from countries could be studied to either to revise and adapt it to the countries. Other countries would be a good way to share experiences. And when we had the discussions on the floor, there are also some good points came out from the audience, and I will just summarize that briefly. What came out was that it's important to have ownership from the countries. It's also so that the agenda of food security and nutrition security is not just driven by international organizations, but coming from initiatives from the countries. Ownership by the countries is an important way to make sure that the food security situation is constantly being studied by the countries and owned, and solutions are also owned. The other thing that came out was it's important to reduce the inequity between the nutrition gap and poverty gap. It's a way to bridge these two aspects and improve local governance issues like hydropower and other things happening within the context of the countries should be considered as part of the changing situation and how people are coping with it, how the security issues are changing with the changing situation in the country. And for the importing countries, there's not much coming out for this post-summer session, but what I summarized is that harmonization of some of the food security policies where it's relevant between these countries would be a really good thing, and sharing of experiences and across country collaboration could be a good way to do this. So